So I heard this story over the weekend.
Yeah.
I'll be 100% honest with you.
Please.
I didn't know who he was.
Okay.
I didn't know he had ties to ASU.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I heard his age, it hit me in the gut.
Okay.
And I think, obviously, we're talking about the PGA golfer Grayson Murray, who ended his life over the weekend.
30 years old.
30 years old. And so...
Two-time winner on the tour.
Right. And I'm not a big golf fan,
That's
so
okay.
I'm not really...
And you would have to really be a golf fan to know specifically who he was. You're not weird like that. I'm being serious.
Yeah. I mean, I heard that he dropped out or he didn't show or he didn't play the one day, and I didn't think much of it because I just, scrolling in social media and looking at some of the news, okay. And then the next day, he's gone. He's 30. And obviously the first thing that many of us thought was he took his own life. Yeah. And that's exactly what he did. His parents, the next day, how excruciating to have to put something out about their son. 30 years old, suffered from depression, anxiety. He had an alcohol problem. And, I mean, it shows you that you could be successful in this life. You could be great at what you do, which he was. He probably made some pretty good money. And it all didn't matter. It all didn't matter because he had this demon.
And I think that's really hard for some people to understand. You see success like that.
Yeah.
You see monetary success. You're one of the best golfers in the world. If you're on the PGA Tour, you're one of the best in the world at what you do, right?
Right.
You have fans. You have adulation. He won a tour event earlier this year. He won in Hawaii. Won the Sony Open in Hawaii. And for him, for having all of that, which the outside world sees as
all the success.
Good success, you're great at this. Congratulations. Here's the trophy.
He's crumbling on the inside.
Completely different story on the inside. And he dropped out of the tour event in, I think they were in Dallas over the weekend, and went home to Florida, where apparently he turned his car on and let the house fill up with carbon monoxide fumes.
Yeah. It's the age.
30.
Like I wasn't a fan of the golfer.
Okay.
It's the age. Like our son is almost 30.
Wow.
That's how young he is. Like that's what goes through my head.
Yeah.
Our son is 30.
Now,
almost 30.
Here's one of the things, and here's something I took from it as someone who struggles with depression or has dealt with it for quite some time.
Right.
The lesson I took from this is don't let the facade fool you.
Mm-hmm.
Check in on your friends, the ones who have struggled in the past.
Right.
One thing I've kind of learned, depression is not something that's ever going to go away. It's part of my story. It's not my whole story. You know what I mean? It's part of it. My depression to me is as much a part of me as my lovely brown eyes. But ask the hard questions of your friends. Mm-hmm. Ask the tough questions.
Give me a tough question.
Are you doing okay?
What if they lie to you?
If they're your friend, you'll know when they're lying.
Okay.
Won't you? You might pick up on that. Ask them the hard questions. Have you thought about hurting yourself?
Yeah. That's a tough one.
Hey, do you need me to talk? You need somebody to talk? I'm available anytime.
Right.
24/7. Let me know when.
Yeah. But sometimes you don't know.
Just don't assume. You're right. You don't
know that your friend has depression.
So we knew, at least with Grayson Murray, he had spoken publicly about this before. As a matter of fact, this is an interview that he did just a little while ago.
My parents have been through hell and back basically for the last 6 years with me, fighting some mental stuff, and it's not easy on me and the people around me that love me. They don't like to see me down. And
I'm glad that they knew. A lot of times you don't know.
Fair.
Yeah,
they were aware of his challenges and had been working with him to get help.
All right, so when you discovered you had depression, did you tell anybody?
No.
Yeah.
But I had a boss who forced me to get help.
But how did your boss know?
He could tell
Okay.
because he dealt with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Maybe you see the signs.
Somebody else sees
Right.
it in you.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he suffered from depression, anxiety, and alcoholism.
That's not a good combination.
No, I've talked about how I suffered from anxiety
yeah.
for a long time, and I feel like I've got a good grip on it now.
Agreed.
But I hid it. I never told anyone. I
No.
thought I would get fired if somebody knew.
Well, and again, he was 30 years old, and
Sure.
again, it's painful to talk about him in the past tense. But he also grew up in a time when we could talk about these things, and he did talk about them because a generation prior, there were plenty professional athletes, whatever, who would never dream of standing in front of a camera and talk about even alcoholism, much less depression or anxiety.
Yeah, I would say if you're suffering from anxiety, tell someone because it'll make you feel better. It's better. I would say I'll tell you this from, it's better to just be honest and tell someone instead of hiding it because it's hard to hide and it's painful to hide and it's harder to get through the day if you're hiding it. And sometimes you just got to say,
it's exhausting, right?
Listen, I'm just not right now. I'm just not good.
Yeah.
I'm not good. And it's easier. I think it's easier to do that, but it does take courage to say that.
But you and I also, again, identifying yourself as a 48-and-a-half-year-old, we grew up in a time when I don't think men were supposed to do that.
No doubt.
And that's only kind of recently that it has been acceptable, accepted that you could raise your hand and say, I'm struggling, I'm not doing well.
Well, shake it off.
Well, that's what we were told to do forever.
Shake it off.
I had people close to me, people I thought were my friends, to say things like, aren't you over this? Mm-hmm. And I thought that was like one of the most painful things anybody ever said to me when I was in the middle of it. Like, am I over it? I go, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not remotely over. What are you talking about? Over it? No, it's part of it. It lives inside my brain. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not over it.
Yeah. I think you can, with types of medication or types of therapy, you can get in a much better place.
Yeah.
But I just think that this man, Grayson Murray, was in such pain. And I don't think, unless you've had depression, and I've never had depression.
Yeah.
I don't know how that feels. I've got to believe, that he came to the conclusion that being dead was better. And that is,
I know that
to
feeling.
me, horrific.
I know that feeling.
You do know that feeling.
Absolutely. I know that feeling. And I was thankfully surrounded by people and people that could help me during those times.
Because I think people don't understand, I couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah.
Did you have, couldn't get out of bed?
What? Not
like
pitch black.
Yeah.
Wouldn't get out of bed. Wouldn't get dressed. Nothing.
I always wondered about that.
Shut down.
Is it impossible to get out of bed? Are you physically unable to? Does it feel, does it feel like your body weighs a million pounds and you're just not going to move? Or are you just like, I'm trying to understand it. Can you explain that?
It's difficult to explain.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, and I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to gloss it up but no. I've told you before, I think it always felt to me like you were sliding underwater.
Yeah.
Like the water just kept getting higher and higher, it like gets to your chin, then it gets to your nose, and I always felt like it kind of happened slowly. And for whatever reason, like when I would shut down and just be in that room and block out the world, I was just hoping like the water would get high enough and it would stop.
Yeah.
I just wanted, whatever it was, I just wanted it to stop.
Yeah.
And that's difficult. And we think of Grayson Murray, we think of his family.
Oh yeah. 30 years old, man.
Yeah. And again,
30.
all the trappings of success and that's not enough. And again, there are people in your life right now who are struggling in some way, shape, or form. Again, ask the tough questions and leave them with this. How this? It does get better. It does get better. I'm telling you, it does get better. Yeah. And better is different for everybody, and everybody has a different path to get there, but it does get better.
Yeah. A very sad story.
Here.
Very, very sad story of Grayson Murray. Took his own life over the weekend, 30 years old.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.